Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
We're all Richard Allen!
Hello, freaks. There's Benny all by himself because Clancy's in a different crate somewhere. With his balls missing. Okay, I feel sort of bad for doing that, but that's just kind of what you do nowadays, right? I mean, of course, the trolls, if you say something like, yeah, we got Clancy neutered, they say, God, look how mean Gray is. He neutered his dog. I mean, what a bastard. I mean, jeez. No matter what I say, they always come up with some kind of negative comment. Doesn't matter how I word it or anything like that. And I made a video today in the Delphi case, and it just absolutely collapsed. It didn't even, I mean, it's got like, I don't even know if it has 1,000 views yet. It's ridiculous. And it has nothing to do with the time and what day of the week it is or weekend or anything like that, Sandy. It's just, that's what it is. YouTube didn't put out notifications. That's just how it works. But guess what today is, everybody? It's the first day of the new month. So while we're watching tonight's show, if you have the ability to help support the channel, like Timothy Cecil just did right there, that would be great. We got to get the month started off well. We had donation night last night, and for the month, this channel... Yeah, it's crazy. But this channel, out of the income from the channel, gave away 4,600. Well, now it's 4,500. Because the when I got a hold of that company again, let me go fix that number, by the way. I got a hold of them, and they tipped themselves. It's like they tipped themselves. And I go, no, it was like $150 they tipped themselves. And I was like, well, no, I guess 8 of it was, no, 30 was it? 30 of it was for processing. So I gave 1,000. Then they go, well, then they added on 30 for processing and then 150 for a tip. I mean, that's ridiculous. I'd rather give 150 more a different time. You know? So let's, yeah, it's weird that they just tack it on there. I mean, I guess it popped up on the screen for a second. I didn't see it. But it shouldn't default to that. It should say, hey, if you want to tip some, you know, kind of like the show here. Hey, if you want to tip the channel, that's great. You know, it's not like everybody tipped $50 when you entered the door, and then you have to then go, hey, Gray, I don't want to tip you, and then I give you your money back. You know. So let me go fix the numbers. No, it's not that one. Is it this one? No, this one. That's going to be kind of a weird number, right? If I get rid of 150, then it's like, jeez. Is that what, 68? 60. Yeah, I think it's 68. I think I have that up there wrong too. It's not 14. It's 14,180, not 18. That's what was looking kind of weird there. Yeah, hold on. So 180 would be, then 130. At least I think that's right. Because it should have been 180. Because the amount was last night was 4,000 or 3,680. So there's no way it would be 18. I don't think. Yeah, there's no chance. There's no way that could just be 18 at the end. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look, but that's what I think it is. So if it was 180 and you subtract, so that'd be and 30 like that. $242,979. All right, there you go. Hey, thanks, Richard Watts. All right. Well, I don't know what's going on. Maybe is there something huge going on in the world tonight? I mean, it just seems crazy. The whole day, I haven't even used up my notifications, and we're just, you know, lingering. Earlier today, there was like 40 people watching the premiere of that video. And right now, there's 144 people. Doesn't make sense. Thanks, Richard Watts. All right, so let's see. Well, I thought we could do a poll night. And, you know, if you guys want to do your own poll questions and you put them in a super chat or something, we'll make that a poll question. So let's see if we do... I'll do the first one. Have you, let's see. Go! Hello, Cheryl Moran. All right, here's the first one right now.
Hello at Grand Freaks. Growing heart emoji.
I don't know, maybe I spelled it wrong. Maybe it's pole, P-O-L-E. My brain just isn't working. Anyways, here we go. Here's the first one. I guess, guys, there only can be a certain number of characters. I'm asking questions in regard. It says it in the title of the video. I'm trying to figure out how to word it. Well, it says right in the title. Let's see. Do you... I'm trying to figure out how to word it. Did you... All right. So this is like right after the probable cause document came out, and we learned that it was Kohberger. Did you think that it was anybody else after that? Like, well, hey, maybe there's this other guy, etc. You know, or did you think it was somebody else, and then it took you a while to really kind of buy into the, you know, that's kind of what I'm saying. Because for me, as soon as I read the probable cause document, I knew they had the right person. And it's been getting worse and worse and worse for him. All right, so the ones that are saying yes in there, what, have you changed your mind, or do you still think it's somebody else? I mean, I'm trying to figure out what you believe. Go ahead. Let's hear. You're not alone in that club. Sorry, I'm getting forgetful. Huh? What happened? Forgetful for what? So, up in the question it said, did you think anyone else was the killer after the probable cause came out? So 16% of the people said yes. But I guess that's pretty good. I mean, all right, I'm going to end that one. It's only 69 votes and 70 votes, and ending it. It's going to change. Like I said, if you put a super chat, you can do your own poll. Trying to get the month started off well here. Okay, here's one. Do you think that Kohberger's dad knew he was the killer while driving back from Washington? I mean, that's sort of an interesting one, right? Yeah. See, I think there's a good chance that he knew. And I think his dad was even trying to divert the officers both times they were pulled over by immediately bringing up some other random story when obviously the bigger case in the area was the Idaho 4 murder case. Thank you, Allie Cake. Gifted a membership to Sushi. Yinky suspected. Alright, so 61 said no. 61%. Alright, yeah, answer these quicker, you guys, because I'm ending that one. I got a question. Why do you think this is? I can't really make it a poll question. Why do you think Kohberger had his dad come there and drive back with him? Why do you think he did that? See, I think he did it to make it seem like, you know, he thought it would make it seem less that, I don't know, like, hey, there's two people in the car, not just me, this lone killer driving across the United States. You know, something like that. I don't believe that, truthfully. Yeah. Let's see, I think he knew before the trip. family would have had to put two together. That's kind of like, that's the basic reason Truth Sleuth, like, oh yeah, they wanted to, he needed somebody to drive extra miles. No. Yeah, that's not why he did that. That would be a normal person. He wasn't normal. But I guess a pro burger might think that, what you just typed in. I think there was another reason. Yeah, I think because he knew he wasn't coming back. Well, I don't know why he would need to take his dad if he knew his apartment still had stuff in it. I think he was coming back there. He was always odd, yeah. Right, I think that's the reason. He wanted to make it look, you know, he was probably a little nervous and driving. God, I tell you what, when he got pulled over twice, that must have just, he probably almost, yeah, or probably crapped his pants right there in the car. You know, just thinking, oh, geez, they got me. And I think, let's see, I'll ask a poll question right here. Huh. All right. Yeah, I guess he was going back. He'd have to find another job, being fired from what he was doing. Yeah. Alright guys, we're having one of those slow starts of the month, so if you have the ability to help support the channel here, I would appreciate it. We're trying to keep, get the month going well at the start of the month here. Last month it started off kind of slow, and then it had a couple slow spots in the middle, and just want to keep on going. Yeah, I think he was paranoid. I think it's the second one. I think after he was pulled over twice, that made him paranoid, and he thought, oh my God, they have something. They have something on me. And so then he was removing his DNA from the trash, which was absolutely idiotic, though. Well, when you say agree, Timothy, that's in the answer up above. So say that you agree with the second part of the question. All right, he was getting warm you and would have continued. The two pullovers were an indication that he was busted from the jump. Yeah, well, I think it made him think that. I mean, I don't think there's... It seems almost absurd to believe that he got pulled over twice randomly. However, it's possible, right? I mean, anything's possible, you know? Did you read the question up there, Timothy? It actually says, do you think he was paranoid from being pulled over? How long was he back in PA when he was putting his trash? And he may have been like, okay, so one of the other options I could have put was, or was he paranoid because of the knife sheath that he left there, that he was already going to go home and start removing his... I mean, that would have been another option to put on there. But I think he felt safe, like he cleaned that off. I know, we just, that's one of the questions, that's one of the answers, Timothy. Up there, do you see that? So anyways, let's see, hit that like button, yeah. I think he knew they were onto him based on the car color in the beginning. Well, no, he knew that his car was going to be seen. He thought changing his plates soon after, which is, you know, he probably figured his license plates wouldn't show up anywhere, which they didn't. So when he changed his plates, they would all look different. You have two different, you know, they could tell. Usually in those things, you might be able to see what state it's from or something, or, you know, but he completely changed to have a front and back license plate and different state. And so he thought maybe that would be enough. He had some stupid thoughts, I can tell you that. I don't think he knew they were onto him based on the car color. Yeah. Let's see. There we go. Right, that's the one I just said out loud, Timothy. Alright, so do you think Papa Rogers is Kohberger? Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Papa Rogers just absolutely downplayed and said that the white Elantra was a red herring. That's too much. Like, why would you do that? I mean, just think about that for a minute. You know, there's this white Elantra, the police are looking for it, and then he wants everybody to not look into it and think it's just some sort of red herring. But amazingly, the pro-burger nut jobs out there, absolutely, they do that. Yeah, I think he was planning on going back to Washington. He still had stuff in his apartment. Why wouldn't he be going back there? He might not have after. I mean, I guess he lost his job. He would still have to go back and get his crap, though, right? Okay, so most people think that 72% think that Papa Rogers is Kohberger. Yeah, that's about my percentage of thinking that it's him. I'm not absolutely 100% certain, but like more likely than not. He quit commenting and posting right after the arrest of Brian Kohberger. I mean, it's like, why wouldn't you have a final posts and stuff? You know, and little comments. He didn't, because it's him. Right? That would make sense, right? Yeah, probably the FBI or somebody, Cameron. You know? Somebody trying to look into what he was doing. But hey guys, I'm going to ask again, if you're out there and you have the ability to help support the channel, that'd be great. We've absolutely hit a massive lull right out of the gate, and that's not sustainable here for the month. So if you have the ability to help support the channel, that would be great. All right. Be surprised what they had in jail. And yesterday was our donation night, so if you missed that, maybe you can help support the channel and start this month off well. Yeah, no, it's crazy. He goes home and takes that picture. Yeah. I think he's just like, hey, taking a selfie, like, hey, good job, Brian. Thank you, Alley Cake. Yeah, and go ahead and put one of your own poll question in a super chat.
Thanks, Ray.
Yeah, that's right. You want to feel superior.
Ocean wave emoji.
And thanks, Angeline1. Very cool. Thank you, guys. All right, let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to word this differently. Before going to Washington, had Koberger. There we go. All right, I like this one here. I think this is a good one. Thanks, Danny Mitchell. I finish every day, but for the love of God, please put some... what are you talking about? Oh, this thing right here? I'm not putting any WD-40 on it. Just deal with it, okay? You know what I hate is when people come in and complain right out of the gate like that. You know, just watch the freaking show or get the hell out, you know? Not interested in your whining. Alright, so we got Danny Mitchell there. Hey, and Cheryl Moran's doing the Alley Cake Wave. You know, why not might have another comment prior instead of bitching right when you come to the door. Makes sense, doesn't it? Alright, so this one is before going to Washington, had Koberger already had his eye on the victims? So most people say no. I actually think it's possible he did. I guess possible is the wrong word. I think it's anything. If possible, would be about 50-50, right? I'm not sure where to me it is like 50-50. You know, I don't have a strong feeling either direction. However, you could look at it like this, or I'll ask another question. Let me end this one. Let's see. Okay, all right. Trying to figure out what I just asked. Jesus. Oh yeah.
Someone posted Mr. Gonzalez was trying to get ahead of some info being released, which is why he was interviewing again. Do you agree? About roommate.
What do you mean about roommate? No, I don't feel like he was trying to get ahead of anything. That interview he just did the other day was done a long time ago. He had to send it into the lawyers to approve it and everything. Okay, so it's not like it was just done. All right, here's one. Posted Mr. Gonzalez was trying to get... Yeah, I mean, when you say someone posted, just don't worry. I mean, don't listen to people when they just post stuff like that. People just post whatever the hell they want. Yeah, I'm sure they looked into stuff prior, like the FBI probably looked into it. All right, so if you think he was if you think that he was trying to, mimic serial killers, I think it's really possible he was doing Danny Rollins, whatever the hell his last name is, in the way he. I mean, it's almost incredible. I made that video, and I keep thinking about how similar that was. However, I think that he's also doing some others, like Ted Bundy, for example. So Ted Bundy went from Pennsylvania to Washington. So I think he was just kind of using, he's just going to do a bunch of different ones. And so let's say he already chose to go to Washington because that's what Bundy did, wouldn't he then already be looking at victims before he went there? And sort of plan it out before going there? I don't think BTK makes any sense for that. Yeah. He didn't do anything that BTK does. Yeah, so that one has 80%. It's pretty good. Right, so if he was planning on going to Washington, wouldn't he be looking at victims already before going there? Why would he be impressing? I don't agree with that at all. That he's trying to impress the professor who was a serial killer expert. So he went out to be a serial killer to impress her. Hey, thanks, Luke Stedman. Okay, there's one. Well, I don't know how to answer that one, but.
No question. Will the knife ever be found, or will KB give it up one day?
Well, I guess we'll put that. Will the knife ever be found? Koberger gives it up someday. I'm not sure I did that right. Yeah, okay. Will the knife ever be found? That's the first question. I guess will it just be found, or will Koberger, so you can say yes, it'll be found, or Koberger will give up, and maybe that's why it was found, but you could say that that would be the reason. I think there's almost no chance. I mean, unless Koberger says, here's where it is, there's almost no chance that it'll ever be found. Yeah, I guess I should have had another option on there. But out of the two up there, which one would you pick? Yeah, I guess I should have had a third option. I was just using his question. I guess I didn't give the alternate, like, no. Okay, I think most people would have put neither. You want me to do that one? I'll just do that one again. How about that? Hold on a second. And I'll just have one, found, found, or Koberger gives up location. Ah, God. One letter off. I'll put a slash. And then, never be found. Okay, there we go. I think this is better. Alright, so that's a better one. So currently we're at about 1/3 of a goal, so be nice to get the ball rolling in here, you guys. Get the first day of the month started off well. So I can continue doing these shows. And you know what we did yesterday? We gave 4,000 some odd. Now I don't even know what the number is. 4,500 for sure. I think it was 4,680, but now it's 4,500. Right. Okay. So there. That's a better way to answer it right there. See the difference up there? It's 15%. 16 say it'll be found, and Koberger will give up location. Now, I think if he confesses, if he actually pleads guilty, that might be part of it. You know, tell us where that weapon is. Well, thanks, Cheryl. Jeez. I was hoping some of the other freaks would jump in there, but they're always so generous. Well, thank you so much. And then look at CR with the 5 gifted memberships, and Melanie. Is it Tone? Is that right? I don't know. I suck at pronunciation like that. And thank you so much, Cheryl. You're so kind, so generous. I believe the knife was ditched right before he turned on the phone. Yeah, well, that would be... He turned his phone on near Blaine, so it's not right there. And by the way, I think I'm going to post tomorrow the route back home. You know, like the route, not all the way back home, but the route from the 1122 King Road all the way down, and then it cuts across and all the way back up to Johnson Road. But I'm going to speed up double speed the video of the drive after it gets to, I think, down to Palouse River Drive. I'm going to double speed it from there. So that way it's only like about a 35-minute video, but you get to see the route that law enforcement believes he took in that probable cause document. Alright, so there you go. There's that one. Let's see. I was going to say, have my videos helped convince some of you that we've got the right guy here? I mean, this is... hopefully somebody says, yeah, Gray, yeah. It is a cool video. I posted it. Nobody watched it last year, so I'm going to redo it again. I mean, not nobody, but it's just... It's more appropriate now. I think more people would see it. Alright, let's see. Well, I guess the big zinger is... And you'll know how many trolls are here by the answer. Well, how about this one? Do you think... All right. Do you think Koberger acted alone? And my answer is 100% yes. I mean, there's no not another person, and I get really tired of when people say stuff like, "There's no way one guy could have done that." Right. It's not even just the one guy. There's only evidence that Brian Koberger did it. There's nothing else that points to anything else. What about the other DNA on the rail, Gray? Well, go do some FGG on it and see if it comes back to Brent Kopacka. Welcome, Scott G. CR said, great. Yeah, so look at, do you think Koberger acted alone? No. Okay, so where are the 11%? Are those the trolls, or is there somebody out there that can tell me what evidence that there is? I'm ending that poll now. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. And so then we're going to do another poll question. Was Koberger involved in the murders? There you go. Let's just do it like that. Holy crap, there's Leon Littlejohn. He's about to go on a fishing trip. Gonna catch some peacock bass. DM Michelle, Peace Train, Helen D, Queen Hopkins, Cheryl Patriot, Martin Batson, 101 GM, Raven, Naomi B, and that's it. Okay, so at least that one's better. So there's 3% of the people believe that Koberger was there, he just had help. So that's kind of interesting, right? So at least they think the right guy's here, but there was just somebody else. Alright, so now I'm going to end this poll once we get to 100. Keep on going, get to 100. We need 3 more votes. Get 3 more votes, get 3 more votes. Was Koberger involved in the murders? Okay, here's another one. Okay, and there's only one answer for this question. Okay, there isn't. There's only. The thing is, if you're intellectually honest, there's only one answer for this question. See, Gray, that's not cool, because if I say what I... Okay, well, the truth, I'm telling you the truth. That's the truth here. If that should be 100% all the way through. Okay? And if the other people are just trolls or, you know, just nut job pro-burgers. Because there's absolutely nothing at all that points to another soul. And if Zozo says no, damn it, there isn't. Get a boom for what? Yep. But Gray. So we're at 107. That means we have 10 absolutely dumb people in this chat currently. Unbelievable. All right, here we go. Let's move on to the next one. Isn't that amazing? Like, you can literally count the idiots by doing a poll, and people that answer a certain way, it's... Yeah. Yeah, the whole cartel thing, what a joke. All that stuff, just... Alright, let's ask some questions about... Let's see. I was going to ask something about the stuff about the vehicle. Well, I'll just ask it out loud. I mean, what do you guys think? What evidence is there? I mean, what evidence? Well, I guess I'll just say it myself. You know, you have the knife sheath, right? I think the evidence that backs that up the most is the white Elantra. The white Elantra being in the area, missing its front license plate, absolutely makes the likelihood that the DNA on the knife sheath came from Brian Koberger because he was there at a level where it's not reasonable to believe otherwise. Okay, I don't know how to put that in a poll question. It's just, it is what it is, you know. The phone and computer will tell a lot, in my opinion. Where do you guys think he stopped? See, that's one of the things. These are the questions I care about because they're part of the, you know, like what the hell was happening that night. So there's like 2 times it went around like this, and it did not go here. And this camera, I got a poll regarding that. Here we go. So I made a video on this not too long ago. Didn't he go to the store that morning? I don't know. Maybe after the killing.
Didn't he go to a store that morning?
I don't know if he did, like when he went to. They have him on camera at like a bagel shop or something. All right, so here you go. Here you go. But here's the thing, if you guys don't think that footage is missing, why wasn't it in the timeline? Okay? Why isn't it in the timeline that they gave out? There's no, you can't hide stuff like that. They put out every single thing that they could think of regarding the, you know, all the different, you know, this camera took this shot and there's a light on over here. I think it actually doesn't exist. I think that is missing, and law enforcement does not have that. That sounds crazy, but I do. Because let me tell you guys something. You know the time. You know that time when the vehicle. Okay, it leaves here, and then it's right over. Well, it's hard to see with all the crap I got here. So there, he's driving by here, and that's right when the DoorDash delivery is made. So they probably came close to passing each other or did pass each other. But then he comes around like this, and he saw that DoorDash guy was there. So he does like a U-turn right over here and comes straight back, but does not go into here, and then drives this way. And again, that sighting is not seen on this. That is not mentioned. And that's a 24-hour-a-day camera that's filming. There's 5 hours of footage online, and the only part missing is from 3:30 until 4:05. I mean, unbelievable. So this is right at 4, and it drives this way. And then at 4:01, it comes down here. So where is it? Why didn't it show up on this camera at 4:05 going that way? How come they didn't put that in the documents? They're not hiding something. They're not going, ooh, yeah, we'll put that out at trial. They would just, I mean, everything else was put in that document. Like, just really detailed timeline with all the camera footage. And then all of a sudden, that camera doesn't record any more. Apparently, it's missing. I mean, it literally is missing on YouTube. That one full 5-hour video is missing that time. And then it's also missing from law enforcement's movements of the Elantra that night. I find that interesting. How come it's missing in both places? And if it wasn't, then I'd go, okay, yeah, obviously they have it, but they don't have it apparently. It's weird. Now, that's been up for a long time. Yeah, it's been before these documents came out. It was one of the leaked, it was leaked footage. You know, the 1330 all came out for let's see, like 2 to 3, 3 to 4. I think it might be like 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. And it's all one straight long, each video you can attach to the other one. And thanks up there to Leon Littlejohn, who gifted 5 more to Kathy Crow, Claire, Louise, Countess, Tara, Pretty Eye. Man, are you Koberger? Because he only had apparently one eye with that one brow. Be damning evident? No. If it was damning evident, look at. There's no reason they couldn't put that into that document. It was all really, really damning stuff. Okay. Hey, look at that HDoc, 34 months. Thank you. It was all really, really damning information in that timeline. And for some reason, just that one camera doesn't, I mean, I don't know, all it does is help the prosecution to put it in there. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It's not like, oh my God, it's crazy, look at this. But they're going to have to explain why it didn't come by here. And the only answer would be is that footage is missing. Here's the footage, and I mean, it's just absolutely incredible that the 3:30 to 4:05 time frame is missing. And it was really a big deal when I still thought that the looping went around in circles a whole bunch of times. However, there's twice where the vehicle drives by right here and does not show up on this camera, nor does it come down here. And had it turned there, it would have gone by that camera again. So that leaves you to believe that when the car drove by, it pulled over. And some of us, you know, going over stuff, somebody typed in, and I think it sounds pretty good, that it pulled in right here. And you could actually look on that path straight up to the house, right there. Now let's see if we can find it. And I got this Insta360 X4. Now the X5 is already out. I haven't even really got to use this one. I was thinking of having 2 of them, so I can just set up a whole bunch of stuff going on. But anyways, look at this. This is the X3. I haven't even used the X4. So right there's that little sidewalk we were just looking at. See that? And then you go like that, and there is the house. So some people think that he parked right down there. But hey, freaks out there, the other freaks other than CR, Cheryl Moran, and Leon Littlejohn, if you guys could please help support the channel tonight, that would be awesome. It seems like, I mean, other than them tonight, we'd be at like 1/8 of the goal. So if you guys could help support the channel, that'd be great. Let's see, maybe he parked and went for a walk around a bit. Was Kaylee found in... No. She was found in Madison's room. Yeah, there's nobody named Megan in the house. I'm not sure where you came up with that. Thank you, Harry, me boy. And Alley Cake. Yeah. I thought everybody just was aware of all that stuff. Yeah, so Madison and Kaylee were found in the same room, and Xana and Ethan were found in the same room, and nobody else was killed. Oh yeah, you have a pretty cool apartment. Yeah, I have to have it about like 72. That feels pretty good. Mm-hmm. Thank you, M10. Now let's do another poll. Oh, I gotta end the last one. Do you think footage is actually missing? Yes. Huh. Well, for the U56 that say no, why wasn't it in that document? Answer that for me. Why wasn't the footage mentioned in the huge document that went through every single camera? And why wouldn't you? And that was about how there's no continuous. Why wouldn't you put that in there if you're law enforcement if you had it? And don't you think it's interesting that that footage is missing from the footage that's online? They say it's missing, and that's exactly the time frame that law enforcement does not have that. Okay? Well, that's okay. I'm just saying, I think there's a really good chance that footage was removed, and I don't know who, or maybe they've found it since then. I don't know. I don't know. It's just really strange. Matthew, you're not paying attention. Has nothing to do with what I just said. Had absolutely nothing to do with it. Mr. Gray, when this all over and done with, do you think they're going to let the cameras from the... I don't get to read it. If he pulled into that little lot right there, would the other camera pick up the headlights? No, it wouldn't.
Chewbacca? I'll do Chewbacca if you want me to.
Thank you, Harry, me boy.
Bridge over water BK drove over on his way out of town.
Can you show the bridge over the water? Oh, yeah, I mean, the only bridge that I know that he went over for certain is the one way down at like noon into down in Clarkston down here. This one. Or Lewiston, I guess. So, yeah, I guess he could have just been driving over and chucked it in, Yeah, I guess that's a absolute possibility. I doubt at noon, though, with all these cars driving around. You'd think somebody might have noticed somebody hucking something into the river. Yeah, it's Ridge Road, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only bridge that he went over. I mean, I guess there might, I don't know, is there some other... I drove this route, so I don't know. I even went all the way down to Lewiston and then into Clarkston. Yeah, I don't think there's any other bridges or anything. That's it. Now, if he, after going here, it's possible, I guess, that he crossed this bridge, went over here on 193, and maybe even went up to Wawaway Park up here. And then maybe he drove like this and then cut across on one of these roads and then made his way over near Johnson, or maybe from Wawaway Park. So this is just in the middle of the day, right? So maybe he came over here like this. This is Wawaway Road even. And I guess he could take that road. That actually, Wawaway Road takes you to Highway 95 here. And then he could have driven up like this. And then after doing all that, he turns his phone on somewhere near Johnson, Washington. However, his phone anywhere in here, that's a 3-mile radius here, could have turned it on anywhere inside of that. I mean, and it even would work outside of it. However, if there's a closer tower, that one generally picks it up. Yeah, I was going to ask that question. That's a good one there. And thanks everybody for helping support the channel tonight. There's one. That was one I was gonna ask. Do you guys think that that Koberger met either Xana or Maddie at the Mad Greek, and that's when he started the obsession? Yeah, that guy was a lunatic. Well, the guy that tried to grab my camera, he's the guy that has the footage. He's the individual who gave to somebody and then sold the other footage. Now, where is that footage? That's why. What do you mean that's why? That's why I don't think he knew them before he... Oh, you think he met him at the Mad Greek. It's not a vegetarian restaurant. You know, it's actually... They have a vegan menu for people, just like everybody else. But it's not like, oh, wow, this one really stands out as a vegan restaurant. Ah, I thought that was him. What are you talking about, Cindy? Jesus. What do you mean, do you went to Poland? What does that mean? I don't get it. Yeah, I've been there. What are you talking about? Yeah, I mean, this is my footage here. I went to I've been there twice. I went there in like September and December of the same year, 2023, I think. Kaylee worked there also. Yeah, that guy, yeah. Yeah, the idiot that jumped out of his apartment and said, "Give me your phone," is the guy that's giving away the surveillance footage to people selling it. Isn't that kind of sick? I mean, he's mad at me for filming, but then he's out there selling the surveillance footage. Yeah, Maddie and Xana worked there. What video? The guy that chased you was the same one in the video. What does that even mean? The guy that jumped out is the same guy that, when I was doing the live stream, jumped out. Yeah, I don't know what the other part means. We don't know if Ethan was found on the bed. That's what I think he was. Yeah, it's like you're coming up the stairs. That's the front outside door. You come up the stairs. You take a right, and there's Xana, feet facing the door, head facing the wall, and then I have Ethan over here. And I have him there because there's blood outside. I have a pretty good... I feel like the blood outside is going to be Ethan that's on the side of the house there. Yeah, he also chased me in his vehicle. Like, I drove away after that, and then he ran around and tried following me. What a psycho. What was he going to do when he followed me? be anyone else. I mean, I guess if you look at it, if somebody bled out on the floor and the ground isn't completely flat, it might pool. Everybody's blood might pool into the corner or something and then drip out. But I don't think so. I think if it'd be more difficult for Xana's blood to be able to get out. What does Brie make sense? What? Oh, what are we likely to find at trial that we do? Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. Forensic data, like you were just talking about. Huh? Love this video. Not a pro burger. Too sensitive to share questions because everyone acts like it's a bother. Love the chiss. I have one myself. I don't know what you're saying. What is love the chiss? What does that mean? But I'll see myself out. Okay, see you later. Let's see. Thank you, Gray, for your hard work and great analysis. Thank you. What's your question, Squirrel? Go ahead. Go ahead and ask your questions. So you just made a post so that you could bring attention to yourself, like, woe is me, everybody. Look at me. I can't ask questions. Oh, my God. If you have a question, ask the damn question. And don't act like a victim before you even ask the question, okay? It's not cool. It's not fun. Nobody cares. You're one of the people that probably, when you're in a Facebook group, writes a goodbye post. Just people aren't interested. All right, so if you have a question, now go ahead and type it in. I'll definitely answer it, but I'll tell you what I actually think when I'm answering it. But Gray, I'll see myself out. See how Gray's mean to his subs? No, I'm not. What's a rude thing to type in up there? I wasn't even paying attention to anything that you were typing. If you have a question, just type it in. It's not hard. This isn't like, we don't do trigger warnings and trigger bunnies and crap like that. This is a real true crime channel with real, factual information, and we discuss it. If you want to have a little place where you can walk in and it's like, hi, everything goes, man. Say whatever the hell you want. Yeah, you can say whatever you want in here, but be prepared to have people just go, God, that's ridiculous, or give you an answer that you probably wouldn't like, but maybe you have a good question to ask. Boy, that'd be good. I wouldn't mind if there were pro burgers out there that had good questions. They just never do. They're always something just absolutely ludicrous, or something that we can't answer. Hey, Gray, whose DNA was that on the banister, you bastard? I don't know. See, there could have been another killer. I don't think Koberger did it. Okay, but what about all the evidence that says he did it? What about that? I don't know, man. Something just isn't right. It just isn't right, man. That's it. Let's see. There's one. I got another poll question. Let me end that one. Oh, I meant to do a poll question. Hold on. Has Koberger ever killed before? Don't answer yet. Here it is. I don't think so, myself. I guess I can't answer it. Huh. just, you know what it means, Anna. Just answer the question. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's, you know, I guess he could have. Right? I want to know what I want to know is what was the connection between Kohberger and that one other case that was out there? What made them even question whether or not, like, why did the grand jury want to know about that one? I guess they believed he didn't have anything to do with it, but what made them want to look at that? Oh God. Okay, I'm gonna put people on timeout. You know, these people that say you didn't specify what he killed, Gray. Yeah, well, you know what? You are. That's what pro-burgers do, because they overthink shit too much. I think it's pretty obvious what I'm saying up there. Okay, and if you can't think through it, I'm sorry. That case is the only reason why I'm not sure. No, yeah, well, maybe it could have been an alibi, or maybe they just brought him in to, I don't know. I don't know what they were asking him. Can detectives trace the music he was listening to on an AirPod? I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about that last picture where when he came home at 10 in the morning. He was probably listening to Highway to Hell by AC/DC. Hey, thanks, Ozzy Trisha. Some people think when he was driving around that same night, he had various homes that he was going to pick from. I don't agree with that at all. I think he was absolutely going there. This was his target that night. That's why he kept driving around. They think, well, he drove all these other places at multiple times too. Yeah, but it's just, that's not what he was doing. To think he passed Bill Mortensen's room at least 3 times and found 3 feet from her. Huh? To think he passed Bill Mortensen's room at least 3 times. Yeah, I guess. But that doesn't seem. I mean, it's freaky for her, for Dylan Mortensen. I wonder if she locked her door each time she would shut it and then open it up again. But she said that not one time was there a jingle on it, so a jiggle on the door. So maybe the targets were actually Xana and Madison, and that sort of would make sense that he go. But unfortunately for him, that night, there were other people in both of the rooms, causing problems. So what if he did go there to attack Madison and Xana? Let's just pretend that that's the theory. And isn't it crazy though that Xana just happened to have Ethan there, and that Kaylee just happened to be back in town and in Madison's room? If not, he could have quietly went to both rooms, and man, it might have been a whole different ball game right now. Forgot to put it on live chat. Who are you talking to, Walker? She hasn't made a comment for like 10 minutes. You think he's listening to the police scanner with those headphones on? I don't know. I guess anything's possible. I mean, we were talking about that it's possible that he listened to the police scanner before he left to go over there. Disagree with what? Type in full sentences, everybody. Yeah. My gut tells me Xana was not his target. Yeah, I always thought it was... Huh? Yeah, I mean, I always thought it was just Maddie, but recent things make you wonder about that. That they looked up... law enforcement wanted to check out information about Maddie and Xana, not the other victims. Yeah, I mean, we've said that 100 times, Rebecca. That's just one of the standard theories that everybody has. Yeah. And then nothing was happening, so he Googled. Yeah, wouldn't that be crazy if he literally searched for, like, crime in Moscow? Or breaking news in Moscow or something. He types that in at, like, 8:30 in the morning. And then, well, who? And then the pro burgers, what's their answer going to be? Lots of people type in breaking news. Really? In the town next door? At 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday? No, I have a chair that I go back and forth. Just don't let it bother you. Back to the whiners again. Kaylee's dad said he thinks BK may have been the ones that call noise complaints. Yeah, I mean, he has a lot of thoughts and things that he throws out there. I wonder why them, though. Alright, so my original theory was that he went to the house to kill all the girls in the house. But then later, things just sort of seemed to point to, it was just Madison, how he parked and he could see through her room, you know. And that's kind of where I am now, that Madison was the target. But you can't rule out that he went there and that was his first target. And then things started going sideways and he never got around. And I just think he didn't see Dylan. And, you know, somebody had a really great comment in the comment section one time and said, if Kohberger had seen Dylan and left and let her live, he would assume that she would call 911 immediately. Now, that's what he would think. Even though from Dylan's perspective, he's just some guy walking around. Instead, he goes out to his car and he's out there doing his blood spatter mitigation for 2.5 minutes. That sort of seems to me like he doesn't know that somebody just saw him. There aren't 2,000 people here. I think there's maybe 500 or so. That's just one of those fake number thing that happens sometimes. Yeah, that's what I don't think he saw her at all. If he saw her, he would have got the hell out of there and really quick if he was going to let her live. Well, what is it, Bree? God, you guys are just so... Yeah. You mean he. Dylan is lucky he didn't confront. What? Dylan is lucky she didn't confront him. I don't even know what that means, man. That doesn't make sense. It's in August. It's getting pretty coming up here. Right, but you didn't say that, Imoni. Your sentence didn't make sense the way you wrote it, so you'd have to write it all over again. Right, that's what I always think too. She saw one of his eyebrows. That means his left eyebrow, as he is. See this right here? This is what it would look like. He's walking by just like this, and he goes straight, and then turns right. He just turns right now. So her being in there, she would see his left eyebrow. All right, so if you guys are out there and you have the ability to help support the Grant Hughes Investigates YouTube channel, if you like the content over here, it allows me to keep doing these shows. The channel relies on the generosity of the people watching on the live streams because there is no ad revenue at all, hardly any, when you do these live streams for some reason. I don't know why it's like that. So if you have the ability to, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, incel, but also misogynist. Well, that's what incels are. So I would just call them an incel. They hate women, or the opposite. I'm not sure if there's female incels. I don't know if that exists, but you know, Mama Rogers. Hey, thanks, Leon Littlejohn. Gifted another membership. Whoa, it does make total sense to me now for saying one eyebrow. Yeah, well, we talked about that on a show. Many times, a couple times, we've said that, you know, she sees one eyebrow. That's because that's his left side of his face as he's turning. What do you mean, Dina? What's wrong with saying you have nice birthing hips? I guess you guys didn't hear what I just said. Let's see, how many problems does BK have? Yeah, he's got a lot. Do we have any coffees tonight? I think we're at 0. Wow. We have no coffees tonight, you guys. We got to get those going here. We can't. That's like that's weird. And thanks to Mary Lou, somebody named Mary Lou, sent a PayPal for a coffee, basically. So we got Janelle H. and Rainy Joe. Thank you, guys. Very kind, very kind. I think he hid the knife and is keeping it in his special trophy place. Yeah, maybe he does have a place out there that he knows about. And if he ever is able to beat the crime, he'll go revisit that place at some point. Good vibes, custom sign, must have been bright. I think it's just kind of, it's generally bright in there. In their rooms, they turn stuff off. I mean, I'm sure it's, even with the lights off, there's a lot of ambient light coming from different things. I mean, so when Dylan ran downstairs And on the way, you could see that Xana was in the room, feet first. That means the door is wide open. Okay? If you could get that kind of detail, that means the door's wide open. And they know that she looks like she's passed out. But she wasn't sure and didn't want to confirm her fear. And so they just kind of huddled up downstairs and eventually just figured, okay, yeah. And then in the morning, now I do think that they went upstairs first with Hunter and they saw the same. I think it was like a similar situation where he told them to get down there. And that's why Dylan sounds so freaked out in the 911 call. And that would make sense now that she's more freaked out than you would think somebody would be if you just merely saw somebody once and thought maybe they were passed out. Now they've seen her again in the same position that she was in the night before, and then Dylan's freaking out more. And then they're made to go up the stairs again by the 911 operator. And then when they go up there that time, Hunter goes all the way inside the room and looks at each one of them, and Dylan and Bethany are probably at the top of the stairs. I would say something like, so here's those stairs coming up. They're like right here, okay? And Hunter, he went all the way down like this, and he goes in there, and he's looking at them, and he's checking them out. Then he's like, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, and they all go down the stairs. Doesn't that make sense? Again, because now he's really seen it this time. The first time I think he just sort of saw it, and I think he went to the kitchen to get a knife, because he was and he probably went close to the room, and he may have even seen blood that time. He just didn't say anything to the girls. And he got that knife, he went to the room, and he saw the blood, and then he said, get out, to the girls. They go downstairs, then they call 911, then they're made to go back up to the room. He goes in there, and he sees the, this time he's able to, he sees it again and says, okay, get out, get out. Because he's doing it because 911 asked them to. And he tried again to wake somebody up. Xana, Ethan, he just kept trying to get somebody to wake up. And I think that's exactly how it went. I thought for a while it was just conflating the 911 call because it sounds exactly the same. But, if you just sort of think about it a little bit, I think some people were commenting and I was thinking, let me think about that. Yeah, that makes more sense. Because it is in the documents. I think that's what Lisa Valenzuela was talking about that. I'm not sure if it was an email or what the hell it was, but it was something. It kind of does make more sense. Mm-hmm. You know what I think? I think the Elantra data is the key. It's the most powerful. It's kind of like the backbone of the case. Because the DNA being in the house, if you don't have the Elantra, you could make an argument that there's touch DNA and there's no Elantra, let's say, and there's no video of an Elantra moving around. It's the Elantra missing a front license plate and the DNA on the knife sheath that is absolutely. And then the Elantra is what ties everything together. It's kind of like I just said, in terms of that night, the Elantra is the backbone of the case and ties all of the forensic data and including his phone and the DNA on the knife sheath together. You guys see that? I think there's a lot that we don't know that is going to come out at trial. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff. It's going to be all in things that he was looking at. Huge computer, forensic component that's going to come out that really it'll show that Kohberger was stalking these girls and and would go out there multiple times to figure out his routes and what he was going to do, and he was doing it for months. And they probably have a hell of a lot more than what we sort of randomly hear about. Yeah, she just ran by everybody. She ran downstairs and saw Xana, feet on the ground, and probably just thought she was passed out. That's it. I mean, I think that's a natural thought. You're not just going to think somebody got killed, but the sounds that she heard probably made her worried about something like that, but didn't want to go verify the horror. Because as soon as you verify it, then it becomes horrifying. And that's when she absolutely, you know, nobody wants to verify horror, right? I mean, so you would just kind of hope for the best, but you think there is something bad that happened, but you're just not going to start calling 911 in college like that, especially when that house is filled with people. So I just totally get it. You know, I know it's hard for some people, especially because they want to blame them, so they keep saying over and over and over again, oh, I don't understand this, I don't understand that. I completely understand the whole thing. It's not confusing. It's not difficult. Huh? I don't think that's, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, Sully. I'm sure the pro burgers are saying Hunter is the one that put the wounds on him to make it look like somebody. You know, the people are crazy. I don't even care. Yeah, it's a little strange. Like, oh, wow, he went to go get a knife as protection to go in the room, and then turns out everybody in the room was stabbed to death. Yeah, I call them moral superiority complex people, Mileyama, or they're virtue signaling. Like, this is what I would have done, therefore. The presence of fingerprints, probably why it was included. Huh? I would be surprised if anything else different came from the trial. I would be too. I think there's a possibility if you get a bunch of pro burgers on there somehow. You know, even if one of them gets on there, there'll be a stealth juror. Hopefully the question, the voir dire, can get rid of all pro burgers, because they are absolutely incapable of rational, clear thought. I'm leaving, Gray, just because I think differently. Techie's Demolitions. Thanks, Gray. Hey, no problem. Oh, boy. Is Koberger an incel? 86% said yes. The 14% are the ones that want to ask him out on a date. You know, they're just hoping to God he gets out of prison because they long for the night. They sit down at a dinner table, candles on a plate. They've got roasted chicken, a little bit of brown rice, some veggies, you know. Looks like a really romantic dinner. And they can't wait for Koberger to look over and say, man, I've never seen anybody with better birthing hips than you. And you're going to go, yeah. Okay, let's see. Thank you very much for the gift of memory. Hey, yeah. Yeah, we got Leon Littlejohn and some others who've been, and CR, etc., buying memberships. Thank you. I mean, that's worse than me saying your eyes look like a lizard, you guys. Come on, be honest. You know, your eyes look like a lizard. At least that's just sort of like, okay, I misdescribed the eyes, all right? But birthing hips? I mean, give me a break. Yeah, you have nice birthing hips. Wow. I mean, what does that even mean, really? What does that even mean? Let's be honest. He doesn't have way with words. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that you could, with the white Elantra, you could make a, if you could miss one piece of data, one element, the Elantra or the knife sheath, which, oh, that's a good question. Here we go, here we go. I'm going to do my poll. All right, there you go. Right there. Those are the only two elements. And I think that's a pretty good question there. And I know what my answer is. All right, let's see if we get 5 more memberships. I'll donate 5 memberships. So who's doing them? Who's doing them? What's a, I don't know if I typed it in wrong, but you know what I'm saying. That's what a troll says. Trong case? What's a Trong case? Yeah, I meant strong, okay? Try to use your brain a little bit there, T-Moral. You know how to use your brain, don't you? You know when you're just typing really fast and you don't type it in perfectly? Try to use your brain a little bit. All right, let's see. We've got... I love people when they jump on a typo really quick, because that's the only thing they've got. They're absolutely destroyed on their beliefs. Like, I'm sure you... I would bet you money that T-Moral is a pro-burger. All right, here we go. Let me put this one in right here. Let's go. Let's see. Membership gifting. Ooh, jeez. Oh, cool. I get to give out. I can give 5 free ones again. It's okay. I'm sure you got it all figured out there. Do you get it figured out? What's a trong? Don't know. Don't know what a trong is. Notice I didn't... all right. Which piece of evidence could you remove and still have a strong case? I think it's the knife sheath. That's what I think. I think if you can get rid of the knife sheath and still have a pretty strong case with his cell phone data, his car driving around, and it's parked outside the residence for 12 minutes, during which time they were all killed, and then you can start putting the pieces together outside of that. But if you get rid of the white Elantra, and that doesn't exist, there's no camera footage, then somebody could make a case that the touch DNA was just, that's what it was. But you can't now. It's right and wrong at the same time. You're wrong! Made you made? What does you made you made mean? Wow, what a dumb comment. Made you made? Jeez. Let's see, all this strong. Made you made. How do you make a make? And thank you, Leon Littlejohn. License plate saying Freak Zero, yeah. Well, that's what we meant it to be, Freak Zero, but it's almost like it says Freak O, so it kind of sucks. Arnold made his maid. Let's see. Zozo, is that really what that... No, it's a joke. Come on, Missy. Jeez. Just like T-Moral's joking. Yeah, I think that the knife sheath, the case can still be made without it. Without the Elantra, you can't make the case. You'd have to come up with this, okay, his DNA was on there. And if somehow you don't have video footage of his Elantra being there, then how do you even know that his car was in the area? Or anything. You would have him leaving out, you know, like you'd have him turning off his phone at a certain time, and that would be suspicious. But how do you get him to where the crime's happening? See, DNA can be transferred, although this sounds like, you know, they're just going to call it DNA was on the button snap. Thank you, Shay 530. Oh, I'm glad you made it too. What do you think, T-Moral? What do you think? That some of those cameras show his profile. You mean the side of his face? Where his nose takes up half the screen? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's not what I was asking about what I just said. Which one on the poll question up here? Which piece of evidence could you remove and still have a strong case? Or trong, as I like to call it. I think it's hilarious when people say stuff like that. This case is purely circumstantial, Gray. Really? Is that what you really... That's what you got? My God. It's... Look it. I don't think you could put together a case that is more stronger circumstantially than this case right here. No, the question up there, that's the poll question, T-Moral. What do you think he Googled before the 911 call was made? I don't know. He wasn't the one that made the 911 call. I don't know. You know, maybe he searched for crimes going on in Moscow. I guess we'll have to see. I think Steve Gonzalez thinks that there was some sort of a search like that. He said that. So I don't know if that's some inside information or just something that he thinks he did. But I don't think his defense team would want something like that. The only information that's out are things that the defense team argued about and has to be out. So there's stuff that they wouldn't want to argue about it because if it came out, it's just absolutely damning. I think Ann Taylor is convinced that her client did it, but is trying everything she can to free him. I don't know. Hey, T-Moral, can you answer what I asked? What do you think about the question that's asked up above? Okay, I'm done with the jokes now. Okay, I was trying to get back to some seriousness, and you're just still doing your same little goofy. Let's see. Need the Elantra, but without the sheath, he wouldn't have been identified. Well, no, they could have identified him later, Zozo. That's the thing. Absolutely, they would have led to Kohberger later by checking out all of the white Elantras that they found in the area, with the and then eventually looked at him specifically and found that his phone was turned off and he was out and about moving around. And look at that, he didn't have a front license plate, so they would have found him later for sure. But without the Elantra, you aren't ever, I mean, you get the Elantra and you have the DNA and it comes up with a name. But if his Elantra, even after the name is discovered, it doesn't put him there. If you can't find, if there's no video of the Elantra at all and there's just touch DNA on something, a good lawyer could then argue that away and say, oh, well, he wasn't there. Give us any proof that he was there. Prove it. Sure, his phone turned off at 2:54, but how do you? There's no evidence that he drove over to Moscow. And then there would be this argument. Now you have, without the white Elantra, you cannot absolutely get him over there. Instead, now you have, so even without the knife sheath, and you have this Elantra missing a front license plate, they would have found out the name after a while. He was already in their system. It just would have taken them much longer. And they would have been able to say, look at this white Elantra is driving around. It parks right outside the house for 12 minutes. It's missing a front license plate. Kohberger changed his license plate. And then you'd have all the other information, how he just so happened to like one of Maddie's posts. And I mean, what are the odds of that? So you would just go through this whole process and it would still be a strong case. It'd be a much harder case without the Elantra, because that's the one thing, that's the glue for the case. I think that's the right word to use. The white Elantra is the glue to the case that makes everything work, and it puts everything together. The DNA is the jackpot at the end of the glue. The glue put it together, and then boom, there it is. Because the white Elantra makes it unreasonable to believe that the DNA in the knife sheath did not come from Kohberger being there that night. Yeah, it's similar to the Richard Allen being bridge guy. Very similar. So that's how I look at it. I think the Elantra is the most important element of the DNA, though, because it really is him. Now it matches the car. It's like huge, right? But the case could have still been made without that. In fact, we used to always talk about it similar as the Delphi case. In this case, the knife sheath and the DNA is similar to the bullet. But the bullet in the Delphi case was weaker because of the technology behind it. This one, the DNA is absolutely incredible, and it does show that it is Kohberger. So there you go. Now you have a white Elantra driving around missing a front license plate, and Kohberger owns a white Elantra missing a front license plate. And at that point, it's just, and he turned his phone off at 2:54, and then then that white Elantra shows up at 3:26 on Indian Hills Drive, and it's driving around and makes its way right over to the residence. So it's just, I think it's the single most important element, and I've kind of always thought that. However, over time, the DNA, just sort of conceptualizing becomes really, 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 really important because it absolutely places them in the room, not just outside the residence. But I think a strong circumstantial case could be made without the knife sheath, but without the Elantra, it'd be really tough. Even though it shows that his DNA is on that sheath, there would be this huge break in information. It would just be, I guess you would still have the ping at 448, right? So without the Elantra, you would have the phone being turned off. See, that's the thing. The phone being turned off in Pullman and then turning on at 448, 6 or 7 miles south of Moscow. That's all you would have forensically for Kohberger, you see? That's it. So turning on, that's not enough, though. People would go, okay, well, you know how juries are, right? Just look at the people. So that's why I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I think. I think you just kind of think about it. If there was no evidence that there was a white Elantra driving around, meaning zero surveillance footage, that would be a disaster, even with his DNA on the knife sheath. You'd have to then go through and find all these other things that, yes, he was liking Madison's account, he was doing this, and seemed to be stalking the area. We do have him those other times he was over there. His phone was turned on. He had been in the area for a while, but that night his phone was not there. And if the Elantra was not on video, then that night, could you really... Then it would almost be like almost somewhat reasonable that the DNA on the sheath could have just been touched DNA from somebody else. Isn't that scary, kind of? It's weird. But it's not. Yeah, let's see. So if you didn't have, they would have found Kohberger's name. So Bethany, or it's not Bethany, it's Dylan's eyewitness account of the eyebrow would have been interesting for law enforcement because they would have still had Kohberger's name because those two officers found the vehicle and they probably would have gone through them all, and then he would have been a very interesting person if they were able to get a search warrant to check out his phone information. But I think a warrant would have been tough in the case without the Elantra. Although I guess if you get the DNA, then you could do the warrant, and then you would have, so that's what would have led to the warrant, the DNA. So that would have existed. And then in the warrant, they would come back with, okay, wow. And then they still would have found those two officers finding the Elantra. And then they would look at the picture, and they still would have had Dylan said he had bushy eyebrows. And then they would have said, wow, look at this. This guy who drove that Elantra does have bushy eyebrows. And then they get the CAS data, and it shows that he turned his phone off at 2:54 in Southern Pullman. And then there's no information at all. I'm pretending there's no Elantra here. And then at 4:48, the phone turns on near Blaine, south of Moscow, about 6 miles. And there's no way to fill in those gaps. So what do you do then? And then there's this other forensic information that he bought, and then they wouldn't know that it was a K-bar knife. So there you go. I guess the knife sheath is there. So that is a big deal. So then they would know that there was and then during the warrant, they would have found out that he purchased a K-bar knife, because that's where they got the DNA from. And then in Dylan's description that he was wearing a balaclava, he still would have bought that. So I guess there is stuff like that without the Elantra, you can still sort of start piecing it together, but you can't place him directly there. But circumstantially, the purchase of a K-bar knife and the balaclava would certainly be a good pieces of strong information. But how do you physically place him there. And I think the way you physically place him there is having the Elantra parked outside, and then his DNA is in there, and then it's not reasonable to believe that his DNA got in there by any other means. But man, we're having these massive lulls in here tonight, you guys. So if you're out there and you have the ability to help support the Grant Hughes Investigates YouTube channel, you guys are the sole source of the income, trying to start the month off good. You know, have a good first night and then keep moving through the month. That would be awesome. Would appreciate it. Thank you. Wouldn't he have reported the car stolen? Huh? What are you talking about? Any evidence of odd behavior after prior romantic rejections? Yeah. He said you have nice birthing hips. When the late girl went into the bathroom. Mm-hmm. You know, what's weird is I don't know how. I think they got his Clarkston stuff from ping data. I think. Yeah, that's right, because his phone pinged down in Clarkston. So after they, you know, already were looking for Koberger, and they knew what Koberger's phone was, they just checked to see where it pinged. And man, that phone was all over the place on that Sunday, right? I mean, it was in Moscow, Idaho, then south, all the way around to, you know, back up to Pullman, Washington, then back to Moscow, then down to Clarkston and you know, Lewiston and Clarkston, and then back up to Johnston, Idaho at 5. Then the phone turned off again. It's all over the place. Hey, thanks, Joseph Brennan. Oh, by the way, you guys remember that Herbert Baumeister that we covered? Here, I wanted to throw this out there. I forgot to do it at the beginning. Remember Herbert Baumeister? There's a victim. This one's kind of strange.
Now at 6 to a 13 News exclusive. Tonight we're hearing from the family of a...
Yeah, where is this Baumeister guy? Yeah, right there. Let me show you what he looks like. See, he's one of those scary serial killers he's from Indiana. Thank you, Lane Carter. Look at this guy. Does he look like a serial killer? See, I don't think so. He just looks like a doofy salesperson, right? Look at this guy. He just looks like a doofy... I mean, I guess he could be, but we covered this case a while ago. But thanks, Joseph Brennan and Laney Carter. So you look at that guy, and he just looks like, you know, some doofus. But, I mean, I don't know if he looks like a doofus. He just looks like just a normal, you know, I don't know. He looks like he could solve the Rubik's Cube in about 10 seconds, all right? So look at this. You want to, I'm going to read this thing really quick. Is that okay? Daniel Thomas Holleran's remains were found at Fox Hollow Farm in Westfield, according to... So, I have him in here. Baumeister. Hold on. Yeah, these are all of his guys. Where is this? Herb Baumeister. I think this is it right here. Here's his property. No, I don't think that's the one. It could be, I guess. Let me see. What date is this? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. See, back then, all those other homes weren't there. So this is 1999. That's what it looked like. So they found all these bodies back here. I think he took his own life, and then he started finding all these bodies. And it turns out he's responsible for, gosh, I mean, it's like 10 or more, way, just a ton of different people. Hey, thanks Lisa Valens, Wayla, and Leon Littlejohn for the coffees over there. And then also to Gina Irwin. Here, let me, this is in Indiana. His name is Herb Baumeister. I don't know if you guys are interested in that. I have a whole folder that I found, and then I just went and found some more PDF files from newspapers.com. Collaborate and listen. I suspect we're done doing that something. For the me tightly, phones like a half moon, dimming in the nightly. Will not stop yelling, oh no, turn off the light. Oh, whoa, to the extreme, wrap like a vandal, out of the stage, and wrapped up like a candle. Bam, because it figures up, boom, killing your veins like a poison, and toss them deadly. That rap doesn't work very well, though. I was trying to make it fast. Thank you, Kick Rock 214. Hey Cheryl, you were here when I was covering this, right? When I did Baumeister? I don't know if you were or not. I can't remember. Yeah, it wasn't too bad for Ice Ice Baby. It's hard to, that one doesn't work with that beat, but I try to. Yeah, Herb Baumeister. All right, let's just take a look at this article because it was strange. It was different than the other ones. So it says there have been 10,000 bones and bone fragments found in Westfield where investigators believe Baumeister killed dozens of men. This identification is a significant development in our ongoing efforts to provide answers to the families of those who went missing. We are grateful for the expertise of Othram and the advances in forensic sciences that made this possible. Holleran was born 1972. It's not clear, so that's the person's name. Jeff Jellison Holleran. Or, no, that's not his name. Hold on. Daniel Thomas Holleran. This is another name. So Daniel Thomas Holleran. And it says, Holleran's mother, brother, and father are all dead, but his daughter is still alive. He had a really young daughter at the time. She never knew him as she was a toddler in the early 90s when she last saw him. And that's her. I mean, isn't that crazy? Carol Holleran, 32, doesn't know how to respond to the news her dad was one of Baumeister's alleged victims. I feel kind of like I'm mourning, Coral said. All my life I kind of expected my dad to be around and one day hoping he'd come try to find me. Coral was just 2 years old when her dad left, so she never knew him. When his relationship with her mom soured, she flew him back to Indiana soon after he was gone. I was born in 92, Coral said. He went missing in 93. Coral said her mother hired a private investigator when Coral was 7 years old to try and find Daniel, but Coral's aunt told Coral she suspected Baumeister had been responsible for Daniel's death. Wow, that's interesting. So she even thought that. She told me there was a serial killer in Indiana, and she suspected that years ago, Coral said. That's crazy. Coral said Daniel may be laid to rest with his uncle and grandfather in Indiana. For herself, she's still processing, and the pain is still raw. It makes me, because what happened was they found all these bodies on Baumeister's property, and for years they've spent all this time identifying all the different bodies that they found, and it's just crazy. He was an individual that was not on our radar. See, isn't that crazy? Like law enforcement said that he was an individual that was not on our radar. Jellison said we did not know anything about him. With no living parents or siblings, getting Daniel's identity confirmed was difficult. We went through most of the investigation without even knowing he had a daughter. But Holleran's mother had died of an overdose in Marion County, and the coroner in Indianapolis had a DNA card for her. So after his mother died, this coroner happened to just randomly have a card with her DNA on it, and then boom, there is another DNA sample they have not been able to match. It is being processed by a forensic firm named Othram. Another 2 DNA profiles are with Indiana State Police and will be sent to either Othram or the University of North Texas for identification. We now know we have 4 more people with Holleran and 3 unidentified DNA profiles. Now, so there's 3 more people that haven't been identified. Yeah, that's...
Right now, police are on the
crazy.
scene of a shooting on the east side of Indianapolis. Officers say a person...
So, anyways, I don't know. I just thought you guys might be interested that out of all those victims, they just identified one, but he was somebody that wasn't even on police's radar as being one of the victims, but apparently, I don't know if it was the aunt or one of the family members suspected that whole time. Yeah, let's just see what it says in here. So it says, Herbert Richard Baumeister was an American businessman and suspected serial killer. A resident of the Indianapolis suburb of Westfield, Indiana, Baumeister came under investigation for murdering over a dozen men in the early to mid-1990s, most of whom were last seen at gay bars. Police found the remains of 11 men, 8 identified, on Baumeister's property. So I guess those are the 3. I think they found more since then. Baumeister died he took his own life after a warrant was issued for his arrest. He was later linked to a series of murders and at least 11 men along Interstate 70, which occurred in the 80s to mid-90s. Herb Baumeister was born in Indianapolis, Indiana on April 7, 1947. I mean, these are all the different homicides in here. So I actually went back in time a long time ago, and I was able to, let's see. I found some of these articles, and I think these are these are his victims here. You know, they're ones that I found in just random articles. Farmer finds body of nude male, a White River. This is 1980, actually. The body was not identified. It was taken to Review Hospital for autopsy to be performed this afternoon. And it tells you exactly where the body was found, in the ditch on the east side of Cynthian Road, about 236 feet south of 236. Then we have this other one. This one, Indianapolis man's body found in a ditch. This is 1983. Police say the body of a 22-year-old Indianapolis man was found in a ditch here 8 days after the man was last seen. Police said a passerby found Michael Andrew Riley's body in Hancock County ditch at about 2:15 p.m. Investigators said it appeared Riley had been thrown off the side of the bridge and there were bruises around the side of his neck. Riley was last seen. So what's his name? Michael Andrew Riley. So let's go back to the... there it is. See that? Right there. Is that crazy? Michael Andrew Riley disappeared May 28, 1983 after visiting the Vogue Theater. And look, that's June 16th, 1980. So he was discovered naked in rural Hamilton, Indiana. And so this one here doesn't even have the name of the person, but look at the date, June 16th, 1980. And based on looking at this, the name is Michael Sean Petrie. Just looking at the information here, I was able to find the original article even without a name attached. The body was found in a ditch. You know, that's that first one that we read. All right, and then I have another one, 1985 here. This is body identified as Indy Youth. A body found May 9th in Wolf Creek on Roscoe Road, east of Lewisburg, was identified Tuesday night as that of Eric Allen Roediger, 17, of Indianapolis. Roediger, who was reported missing May 7th by family members, was apparently strangled and his body dumped in Preble County. Sheriff Paul Ploffer said. And so that's Eric Allen Roediger, and let's see if that's on there. Should be the next one down the list, I would think. There it is, Eric Allen Roediger, May 7th, 1985. And this one I have May 22nd because that's when the body was identified. So I probably could go back to like May. What should we try it? See if we can find the original article. Because they say in here that he vanished on May 7th. And then witnesses claimed that they had seen Eric at a bus stop in the early morning of March 7th. But instead of waiting for the bus, he accepted a ride from a passing car. When found, he had an apparent burn mark on his left shoulder and had been strangled with a rope. So it doesn't say in here what day he was found. It says he vanished on May 7th, 1985, but then somehow right here it says May. I think this must be supposed to say May right there. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. Are you guys interested in this? I didn't mean to just completely switch topics, but I've been thinking about this one because Baumeister was one of those ones when we covered it, I was just like, this is creepy. This is like an actual legitimate, nut job serial killer. This is really like a quintessential serial killer. He's kind of like, Dennis Rader, right? Like just sort of a normal looking, honest, you wouldn't think he was a serial killer if he was walking down the street. All right, then here's another one. 1987. 3 rings, only clue identifying nude body. Authorities are checking missing persons report from... So let's see if we can already just tell you what this one is. So this is October 19th, 1987. So that's probably this one right here. James Boyd Robbins, Jr., 21. He went missing on October 15th, 1987. 2 days later on October 17th, and this is October 19th, and it even says authorities are checking missing persons report from central Indiana in hopes of identifying a man whose nude body was found on Saturday, and this is Monday, so that's the 17th. The body was discovered at about 11:30 a.m. in a ditch. I mean, doesn't that sound... Those are the commonalities right there, are the ditches, every single time. Discovered at 11:30 a.m. in a ditch along County Road 700 north, near County Road 775 east, a short distance from the Rush Line county line. The site is about 1.5 miles from Gwinneville. A group of firefighters, emergency medics, and law enforcement were participating in several war games in a woods near the scene. The body was spotted by 2 wives of participants. Jeez. The body was taken to the Indiana University Medical Center in Indianapolis, where an autopsy was conducted Sunday. The autopsy showed the victim died of strangulation. Okay, boom, that's the same as the other. Investigators believe the body was dumped in the ditch late Friday. The farmer, who owns the land, went past the ditch at 5 p.m. Friday and did not see the body. So they think he was killed elsewhere and his body dumped in the rural location. The site where the body was discovered was described by authorities as isolated. Let's see. Shelby County Sheriff investigators reported the victim was wearing 3 rings, 1 on a finger on the right hand and 2 on fingers on the left hand. No clothes were found, authorities said. Detailed descriptions of the rings are being withheld in case the information must be used to help identify the victim. The victim was described as white, between 25 and 30, 110 pounds, having short to medium length hair. And here's 1990. I don't know if this is when his name gets in here. Maybe right here, this one. So their deaths ghastly, unsettling ends to troubled lives. Most of them were gay, police said, or had ties to the city's gay community. None of them could have seen the end coming until it was too late. Their nude or half-clad bodies were pitched aside, so they must be putting together the serial killer angle. I don't know if this is when Baumeister... No, he isn't really discovered till 96, so they're putting together that this is a serial killer. After the 10 victims were found, they became pieces of a mysterious puzzle. Police are almost certain they were all stalked and killed by... You want me to go through this one? I can do it. By the same psychotic stranger. Most of the serial killers' known victims came from broken or dysfunctional homes. Some had been sexually abused. Many led lonely, unstructured, and sometimes secret lives, unstructured and sometimes secret lives, medicating their hurts with drugs and alcohol. They were confused and troubled lot, searching the wrong places for something they could not find in such brief lifetimes. Thanks, M10. Yeah, usually when I start reading and we switch off, go to a different case, we're really slowed down. So thank you for your support there. Thomas Clevenger's fits were persistent and ugly. As a boy, he fled a babysitter and smashed a window to get into his house. A freshman, he pulled a knife on a vice principal. He was once driven from his mother's home for cursing her. He was such a behavioral problem, said his mother. Clevenger grew up poor in a tough section of Indianapolis. So they're going through all these. Russell Boatman, when a serial killer suspect was arrested for the 1986 torture slaying of a teenage male prostitute, Clay Boatman was fascinated. He read and watched every news story. If he ever became such a victim, he told friends, he would want his home in order. If my mother went to my apartment, I would want her to be proud. I remember always like, hey, put on some clean underwear. You know, if you get killed or something, I want to make sure you have clean underwear. Remember that crap that parents would say when you're young? You know, make sure you have clean underwear. I mean, oh my God, I'd be mortified if you ended up dead and you had dirty underwear. Yeah. Now we've lost 40 people after switching topics for a minute. Sucks. As it turned out, Boatman's mother died the year after her son's slaying, so she never saw whatever he left behind when he locked up his apartment for the last time. Boatman's family knew he was gay and accepted it the best they could, a friend said. Boatman's best friend described him as calm and laid back on the outside. You know, it's amazing. It's totally... Now, even in 1990, being gay was more difficult than it is now. I mean, now I think everybody, it's just totally accepted as part of society. I think what people are struggling with, and rightly so, are the other combinations that people try to come up with, like, you know, transgenders and things like that. It gets kind of difficult. Hey, thanks, Sandy Shirley. Alley Cake Wave. Yeah. Let's go down to the next one. Stephen Lynn Elliott. That's the lady wrote that, I think. Heart set on daughter and didn't conceal her disappointment. James Boyd Robbins Jr. Parents moved away after he died. Robbins was 21 when he turned up missing. His body was found in October 1987 in a drainage ditch near Gwynville, Indiana. His father and stepmother lived in a mobile home park in Mishawaka near South Bend. They left Indiana early the next year. Folks at the trailer park don't know where they went. Michael Allen Glenn. So that's the other guy named Rediger, and then Glenn right there. Michael Allen Glenn grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, the only child of Richard H. and Joyce Woolerman Glenn. He served 2 years in the Indiana National Guard. He lived in an Indianapolis trailer park and worked as a laborer. His widowed mother last heard from him with a Mother's Day card in 1986. 3 years later, in August 1989, his body was found by 3 boys out jogging. Clad in lime green shorts, Glenn lay in a dry drainage ditch 4 miles west of Eaton. The 5'3", 135-pound man was buried in December 1986 in a donated grave near West Alexandria. In the fall of 1989, Indianapolis police identified him from fingerprints circulated by Preble County deputies. Glenn's mother had the body moved to a cemetery in Bicknell, Indiana, where she lives. Eric Allen Rediger. When he disappeared, Eric Rediger was trying to line up a summer job. The high schooler had 3 interviews set for May 7, 1985. He didn't make it to any of them. His family thinks that instead of taking the bus as planned, Eric hitched with a stranger. And so, like, Baumeister is right at the edge of when people stopped hitchhiking. You know, like the 80s, people are starting to slow down, and then like late 80s, people kind of quit. And at the time Baumeister was killing, that's the time where, I mean, I guess what I was going to say was, serial killers today often pick up sex workers because they're the only people that willingly at this point get into your car without knowing who the hell you are. Hitchhikers used to do that all the time. So serial killers like Ed Kemper and Bundy, all these guys, they just could prey on anybody. Bundy used different tactics. He'd pretend he was injured or some shit like that, and he was crazy. I mean, he did some wild stuff. But so today the serial killers often are with the sex workers. So what's interesting about that is like the serial killers don't really care that much about what your background is. It's just that they like killing, and they're just easier to mark because, oh yeah, here we go, they'll just get in my car. It's pretty interesting how that happened. So in some ways you sort of wonder if law enforcement, I mean, I wonder if like quietly behind the scenes, if they're not really concerned that much about the sex workers, just to give some sort of, basically, I don't know how to word it differently, but like food to the serial killers, like the prey. They're offering the prey to the serial killers by allowing this to still go on so openly in different cities, people walking the streets, etc. And they're almost allowing it because that they consider them a lesser part of society. So, if serial killers prey on them, at least it wasn't the 16-year-old girl going to high school or something like that. Do you think that there could be an element of that? Like now it's not really bait. That's what their prey is, But you sort of allow the prey to exist so that the serial killers won't find, different ways to, it'll satisfy their urges without killing the good people in society, with quotes around it. Yeah, Rex Heuermann he did the sex workers, but his were like different. He'd meet him at a place. I don't think he was going to take them to a place. I don't know if it wasn't really a hitchhiking angle. And then also in, where was that? So even in the Schnee Oberholzer case that we talked about, the guy that looked up at he gave a signal up to an airplane, remember that? And then that whole crazy case, he picked up hitchhikers. The two victims that we're aware of, that's what they were, same night. Alright, so the Maurice Taylor was a drifter who slept on a boiler room mattress in the bowels of an Indianapolis apartment building. He lived amid a tangle of pipes and the clamor of mechanical equipment. Authorities said Taylor, too, was a male prostitute in the Indianapolis gay community. Wyant found that hard to believe, but he did describe Taylor as vulnerable. For 10 years, Taylor planned his Sundays around visits with his mother, a boarder at the home of Jane Wall. He'd get there after lunch and stay a few hours. Wall liked him and once bought him bedroom slippers and a pair of expensive sneakers. Michael Andrew Riley, 1983, was 21 years old when he asked Lynn Forey for a date. She was pushing 40. We hit it off, though he said he reminded me of Tony Orlando. Riley was 5'7", swimmer with powerful arms who had an eye for the ladies even as a child. He insisted on wearing trousers, sport coat, and tie to kindergarten, his mother said. Then he would splash on his brother's aftershave. He was last seen on May 28, 1983 at the Vogue nightclub in the same area of Indianapolis where Rediger disappeared. A friend said he saw Eric leave the club with an unknown man. So that's sort of interesting too. Like maybe Baumeister would go into these clubs and then take him out to a car, but it sounds like sometimes he picked up hitchhikers too. He was the sixth of 7 children born to Thomas and Norma Riley. Now, the car was a big red second-hand Ford. Riley was proud of that car. When Riley didn't come home, authorities said he was probably off on a holiday. His mother didn't buy it. His car, motorcycle, and checkbook were at home. There you go. And then Delvoid Baker. I think he's the only black individual here. Lived in a few years of divine retribution. Let's see. I'm going to see what the story is. Continued until he left the house at 4 p.m. on October 1st, 1982. 2 days later, his body was found in southern Hamilton County wearing gym shorts and socks. Authorities said a man paid him $20 for oral sex before he was killed. How did they know that? How do they know that part? Michael Petrie. Authorities say Michael Petrie was a male prostitute who solicited gay men. His sister insists they were wrong. To prove her point, Bridget Petrie said Michael called when he couldn't make curfew. He did well in school and wanted to go to college. Well, that doesn't mean anything. In the summer of 1980, Michael Petrie took off on his bicycle and never came back, the first victim apparently of the serial killer. It would be years before police figured that out. His sister said the girl took it hard when Michael's body was found near a ditch in Hamilton County, Indiana, a decade ago. Yeah, so I mean, there's just all these victims, and then that one was 1990. And then I think we go all the way to like 96. So right here, look. Recent human remains found in the woods. Human remains have been found in the woods behind an upscale Westfield farmstead. Anthropologists and investigators will return to the home. See, what's weird is all those bodies were found, you guys. And then at the house, there's a ton of bodies sitting there. So who are all these other people? Anthropologists and investigators will return to the home at 1111 East 156th Street today, said Eddie Moore, a Hamilton County Sheriff Sergeant. Moore said the morning investigators found what they believed to be at least the remains of one adult. Indianapolis police investigators are also in Westfield. Investigators try to match the remains with missing person reports from Indianapolis. Preliminary tests show that remains have been there 6 months to a year. A resident of the farmstead home found a bone in the woods, Moore said. The bones were on the ground in the woods, he said. Investigators could not release the name of the resident. Investigators do not have any information on the cause of death. Herbert Baumeister, who owns the home, said he had not been contacted by police. I don't know anything about that, said Baumeister, who lives at 4421 East 75th Street in Indianapolis. Baumeister said he normally rents the home, but he believes it's currently vacant. The Hamilton County Assessor's Office lists Richard Russell as the owner of the 18.25 acres, which includes several small barns and a swimming pool. Russell said he bought the property in 1988 and sold it to Baumeister in 1992. Russell said he knows nothing about the police investigation. The home includes a horse ranch called Fox Hollow Farm, a large house set back from the road, and so that's why you have to go back in time. See, that's it right there. So it's way off the road, but now look at it. Watch this. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So these woods back here are where he was doing this. So if you go all the way back to 1999, so these were there, but these neighborhoods were not developed at all. See all these lines? Those are all streets today, but there's nobody there. Anyways, I thought maybe you guys would be interested in that. Apparently not, but there you go. I have this whole folder filled with tons of different articles. And maybe someday we can go back over that, revisit it, something. Man, it's always like as soon as I switch topics, it's just I'm always at my own peril. If I ever, if I'm talking about a case and then I move on to the other one, it's amazing how things just drop off so dramatically. I mean, you would think something just being interesting is still interesting, but it's not the case. Let's see. Well, you too, Egg. For the topic, takes are very interesting. Yeah. I was listening to you tell these crime stories. Right, but, it's everybody. That's what the response always is. But we had 380, and then there's 311, because I wasn't still talking about Koberger. So I guess that's where the issue is. If you ever just switch off of something for a minute. But how long have I been on here? Well, maybe I got 24 more minutes. Let's see. What do we got? We can try the poll question thing again. I'm sure there's 1,000 more questions we could ask. I want to see what's like a 2008 article. Yeah, see, look at them digging around right there. That's at the Herb Baumeister. Help shorten the list of unsolved murders. Yeah. Maybe this one right here. It says, for decades, police have been trying to identify victims of a suspected serial killer. And last month, authorities made another breakthrough discovery. On May 21st, the Hamilton County Coroner's Office in Indiana announced human remains recovered from Fox Hollow Farm, the former home of Herb Baumeister, in 1996, have been identified as Jeffrey Jones. He was reported missing in August 1993. Why are they talking about Florida? I don't get it. Whoa! What? Oh, thank you. Whoa! Hey, we'll talk about them all the time. Here we go. Yeah, look at it. Hey, thank you.
I like hearing about other cases as well. Nice break from BK.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out why they are interviewing somebody in Florida, though. What's that gotta... Anyways, thank you so much. Appreciate it. They have 4 additional DNA profiles that have not yet been identified, bringing the total number of presumed victims to 12. Because many of the remains were found burnt and crushed, this investigation is extremely challenging. However, the team of law enforcement and forensic specialists working the case remain committed. Alright, so let's see, 96, and then what was the next article here that I have? Lab set up. Julia and her estranged husband, Herbert Baumeister, own the home, although the couple is going through a divorce. See, I think he's still alive in this right now. Mr. Baumeister lives on East 72nd Street. There were no new developments in the case Monday. All they did was, so it looks like they, it's like Baumeister and his wife, they own the property, and he's still alive here. Now, Brian Googled the murders before. I think it's possible, Jake, for sure. Absolutely possible. Wow, that looked like that was a video for a second, didn't it? When I scrolled down the way it was moving. Now look at this. Herbert Baumeister mentioned several regrets in his 3-page suicide note. He was sorry about spoiling the scenery in a Canadian park. So a Canadian, when he says in a Canadian park, did he go to Canada? He shot himself in the forehead. He was sorry about the breakup of his 24-year marriage. He was sorry about the financial shambles of his family's Indianapolis thrift store business. But missing in the note, said Canadian officials, was any mention of the macabre discovery made 12 days ago on Baumeister's rural Hamilton County estate. Isn't there a Canadian Indiana or something? Is that not a place? No. I don't know. I mean, he went to Canada to do this? But missing in the note, said Canadian officials. You guys know what they're referring to when they say Canadian? I mean, literally Canada, or is there a place called... it does say in a Canadian park. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Department had wanted to question Baumeister, 49, since the bones were discovered. The Indianapolis Police Department had wanted to interview Baumeister. I wonder how they connected him to all those other victims that were found, because obviously the bones there are different. when Detective Mary Wilson from Indiana Police Department Missing Person Division tried to talk to Baumeister in November 1995, he refused this time. He took off for Canada. So he did. Okay, there we go. Instead of facing questioning. Hamilton County Sheriff Joe Cook and Hamilton County Prosecutor have repeatedly said Baumeister was never named as a suspect in connection with the bones. But a source close to the investigation told the Indianapolis Star and the Indianapolis News that Herbert Baumeister was a suspect, big time. Clearly, authorities had questioned Baumeister about some missing people and the bones. A Hamilton County Sheriff's Department news release said Friday that Wilson had been told by an informant that Baumeister was the last person seen with a missing individual from Marion County. Oh, interesting. So they already had him in the record somewhere as being someone last seen with a missing person. I bet you he's one of the bodies found. Wilson could not be reached for comment Friday. Furthermore, a search warrant details that Baumeister's 48 years old wife, Juliana, discovered a skull in December of 1994 on the couple's 18-acre property called Fox Hollow Farm. Baumeister explained to his wife and children that the skull had belonged to his father, Dr. Herbert E. Baumeister, who died in 1986 and had been an anesthesiologist in Winona Memorial Hospital. Juliana Baumeister, divorce attorney Bill Wedling Jr., could not comment on the lapse between finding of the skull and IPD's attempt in November 1995 to interview her husband. When authorities came to interview Herbert Baumeister at the end of last month, no one could find him, including his divorce attorney Frank I. Mira. It's unclear where Baumeister traveled before he entered Canada, but Ontario Provincial Police Detective George Speck said Baumeister arrived in Sarnia, Ontario, about an hour drive northeast of Detroit, June 30th, and spent several days there living out of his car. Then Baumeister drove northeast along Lake Huron shoreline to Grand Bend, Ontario, where he paid $7 Canadian for a day pass to Pinery Provincial Park, the place where Speck said Baumeister killed himself with a .357 caliber Magnum revolver Wednesday night. He put only one bullet in his gun, said Terry Crabe, Pinery's head naturalist and supervisor of security. While neither Hamilton County nor Ontario authorities would release the suicide note, Speck and Crabb shared some details with the Indianapolis Star and the Indianapolis News. Before shooting himself, Baumeister wrote that he was going to eat a peanut butter sandwich and go to sleep. Speck and Crabb said the suicide note included mundane details such as daily logs of his trip from Indiana and whether he had enough gas to get places. He even said he was going to kill himself earlier near the Blue Water Bridge by Sarnia, but there were some children nearby, so he drove on. Speck said the note was in an envelope that said, "Attention Canadian authorities." It was handwritten in single spaces in ink on yellow-lined notebook paper and signed Herb Baumeister. Also in Baumeister's note was some unusual information describing a bridge he crossed from Port Huron, Michigan to Sarnia, Ontario. He talked about how high it was and that he was afraid of heights, Speck said. Speck said there was no mention in the note that Baumeister had contemplated committing suicide by jumping from the bridge, but I think you got to admit the timing of him doing that And police searching, for, looking at these bones is pretty damning. Some campers found Baumeister's body late Wednesday night near a beach parking area. Next to him was his 1989 gray Buick Century Spec. Said there was nothing in the car. Spec said there was nothing in the car. Juliana Baumeister and their 3 children, ages 11, 15, and 16, were notified of his death about 5 a.m. On Friday, Mirov described his client's note as just very sad. He speculated that Baumeister might have taken his life because he was distraught about the divorce and the financial problems. Mirov said he'd be surprised if his client had any connection to the bones. I just don't see him that way, he said. Although Mirov said he only spoken to his client about a half dozen times and didn't know him, he said in general impression of Baumeister was that he was weak and unable to take charge, not the kind of person. And that's exactly what he looks like. And I think that's why he killed people. Isn't that interesting? He's weak and unable to take charge. So that almost is like a serial killer 101 right there. So then he took charge when he killed all these people. Not the kind of person who would be capable. Well, that's exactly the opposite. After Juliana Baumeister he probably got ridiculed, and he always made it feel like he wasn't, so he goes out and he does that, right? After Juliana Baumeister filed for divorce in January, there were several lawsuits filed against the couple's thrift business for non-payment of insurance and several judgments against the couple. The Baumeisters operated a Save-A-Lot thrill stores in Indianapolis. So let's see over here. Then Baumeister drove north. I'm going to read this part over here. Place for respect, said Baumeister. So Pinery Provincial Park. Pinery. There it is. And then he went into a... Let's see what it looked like in 96. That's 85. 2005 is the nearest. Is that a parking? There's got to be street view here. Ah, good. So he could have parked right in this. I don't know if this is a parking spot, but here's a, this is where he may have pulled in. I don't think that's it. That other spot looked more like what they were referring to in the article. Something over here. I can't see. Won't be able to look at it. Yeah, so maybe it's right in there, one of these parking spots. He put only one bullet in his gun, said Terry Crabb, Pinery Head Naturalist. Said he was going to kill himself. Speck said the suicide note. Also, Baumeister note was an unusual information describing a bridge he crossed. Okay, some campers found Baumeister's body late Wednesday night near a beach parking area. Next to him was his 1989... Oh, a beach. So we gotta go look at that. It's probably not this spot then. Wow, so way over here? Man, that's the only place there would be a beach parking spot, right? I mean, if it was over here. Look at, there's one little 360 degree. Is this Baumeister? Like just parked way over here, maybe? Interesting. Crazy. What does that have to do with what we're talking about, Lisa? My God, you guys. See, I mean, it's hard for you guys to get onto anything else. It's amazing. All right. So, well, that's when I know it's time to get out. He shot himself with a .357 Magnum, as we just read in the article. Let's see, is there anything else? 96. There's another one from that same day. About September, 2 months later. There he is, Herb Baumeister. Look at that guy. You wouldn't guess that. Yeah, of course he's guilty. They're all assigned to him. He killed him. 3 days ago, after months of speculation, police had a new description for him, a suspect. Baumeister, authorities say, is linked to the disappearance of at least 4 Indiana men whose bones were found this summer on his property. So he's linked to 4 of them missing. Talked to Baumeister's friends and former co-workers, and his portrait is one of mystery. He was a man who presented different, even conflicting characteristics to others. See? He's weak. Hamilton County authorities described Baumeister, who took his own life in July, as a man who lived a double life. They say that 49-year-old was a family man, but also a hothead boaster who was always trying to impress others. Some of Baumeister's acquaintances recall him as an eccentric. He owned a hearse in the late 1960s and kept to himself. Others remember him as a gregarious man who loved old cars and would go out of his way to help friends. Even when he died, Baumeister's life was one of opposites. He lived in an expensive piece of property in Westfield and sent his 3 children to private schools. But he also ran a thrift store business that was in financial trouble and recently filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. His exclusive Fox Hollow Farm property off 156th Street may have had well-clipped lawns and a home with an indoor pool, but at the time of his death, Baumeister also owned an Indianapolis home with a gutter sagging off the roof, an unkempt lawn, and old cars. Let's see what page this is. This 2? C2, so then it's going to be 48 maybe 49. 49. This is a good article here. The scope of Baumeister's involvement in the disappearances of the men may never be known, but clearly he had some details he wanted to hide. 9 days after the bones were discovered on his property, Baumeister drove to a park in Canada, pointed a revolver at his forehead, and pulled the trigger. A rambling 3-page note mentioned nothing about the bones or the investigation. Subsequent searches of his property in Hamilton County, the home in Indianapolis, and a place in Wawasee Lake turned up no evidence. Baumeister's wife of 25 years, Juliana, declined to be interviewed. But Baumeister's death on July 3rd, along with a law enforcement's suspicions about his link to the missing men, had startled a lot of people. Kenneth Phelps, executive director of Children's Bureau of Indianapolis, knew Baumeister through donations his thrift stores had made to Phelps' nonprofit organization since 1988. "We were really shocked by this whole thing," Phelps said. "It knocks you off your feet. Other friends and co-workers don't understand how Baumeister, known as Herb, could be connected to such grisly scene. I just can't believe he'd be involved unless he had changed drastically in the last 11 years, said Susan Pierce. Here, I'm gonna give away the other 5 memberships. Hey, thanks, M10. So here we go. There we go. Those are the monthly allotted free ones. They just gave all 10 of them out. Now there's no more free. I mean, I'll still get them if we reach goals and so forth, but there you go. Thanks, M10. Baumeister emerging profile depicts a fractured lifestyle. One person was sporadic, hot-headed, and would go off for no apparent reason on tangents, Hamilton County Sheriff Sergeant Ken Wisman said. He would try to impress people and wanted to make them think he was more important than he was, even when his business was going downhill. The other Mr. Baumeister was the family man who wanted to supply the best for his family and that he possibly could. This double portrait is mirrored elsewhere in Baumeister's life. Some say he dressed neatly, but simply didn't talk about his family and ran a messy, disorganized Save-A-Lot thrift store on West Washington Street. Other members remember him as a... Is that him right there? That doesn't look like him at all. Jeez. That doesn't look like Herb Baumeister whatsoever. It's crazy. He like turned into a physically different looking person. Like, I don't even see any similarities. Do you? That's crazy. Let's see. Let me find the Herb Baumeister. I do gray, you see, because I don't think so. Look at that. Do you really see anything that's remotely... That can't be him. What is that? Herb Baumeister was recalled as... That's not... That can't be him. Look at the nose shape, isn't even the same. The hell... What is this even... I mean, the eyebrows are good. That looks the same. But other than that, man, that doesn't even look anything like that person. I mean, I was kind of like, what is this? This one up here doesn't even look like him. Wow, that's really crazy. Anyways, Baumeister was one of 4 children and was named after his father. A high school classmate who asked not to be identified described Baumeister as a gentle guy, pleasant but not very social. He last saw Baumeister at their 30th reunion last year. While Baumeister declared anatomy as his major... Or anatomy. Jesus, I thought it was like part of the sentence before. In his major at Indiana University. Wow, there you go. Just like Proberger, right? Koberger. He studied serial killers and is in the world of forensics and criminology. And here you go. Baumeister was studying anatomy. He never graduated, and his enrollment from 1965 to 1970 was sporadic. Sometimes he spent 2 consecutive semesters at the school. Other times he was there just 1 semester. In 1972, he attended Butler University for a semester. He didn't graduate from the Indianapolis school either, even though his Bureau of Motor Vehicle Employment application listed him as having graduated from Butler with a Bachelor's of Science degree in zoology. While taking time off from Indiana University, Baumeister worked as a copy clerk in classified advertising. Let's see. Gary Donna worked with Baumeister at the newspaper downtown office and remembers him well. When Donna, some friends, and Baumeister took their dates to I bet there's going to be something like a Koberger sounding here, to a football scrimmage at IU, Baumeister offered to drive them down to his hearse. He turned the siren on so we could get down there quickly, Donna said. We were all young and we thought it was funny. Donna remembers Baumeister as a hard worker and, like many others, uses the word meticulous to describe him. In November 1971, Baumeister married Juliana Sater, known to friends as Julie. The couple had met at Indiana University. The following year, Baumeister began work as a temporary clerk typist at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. He left the Bureau in 1985 after he had risen to $30,472 annual salary. That's pretty good for 1985. Director and the Cash and Audit Department. Susan Pierce reported to Baumeister for 12 years. He was an excellent boss and very people-oriented, she said. When Pierce was getting divorced, Baumeister took a vacation day. Somebody looked it up. How much is 85,000? What's 30,000 today? I bet it's like 85 or 100 or something. He was an excellent boss and very people-oriented. One holiday season, she helped Baumeister and his wife shop for a Christmas tree. It had to be exactly 40 inches tall, she said. It couldn't be 39.9 inches. It had to be 40 inches. There were other items Baumeister was picky about, such as his cars. Hamilton County Prosecutor Sonia Learcamp said he kept every car he had ever owned. When he worked at the Bureau of Motor Vehicle, Baumeister drove an orange 1972 Gremlin. He swore he'd never get rid of it, Pierce said. He never got rid of it, of anything. Pierce is unsure why Baumeister left the Bureau, but friends and other co-workers said that Juliana, through her work as a member of the Indianapolis Junior League, no, see, I told you, right around 100,000. There you go. Do you think it's 62? I don't know. Here, let's just type it in. Let's see what ChatGPT said. Accounting for inflation. If someone made around, it's actually closer to like 31,000 in 1985, what would the salary be? What would the equivalent salary be today? I don't know if I spelled that right, but yeah, look at that, 92.
Adjusted for inflation, a salary of $31,000 in 1985 would be equivalent to approximately $92,135.40 in 2025. This calculation is based on the Consumer Price Index CPI, which indicates that the dollar has experienced an average inflation rate of 2.76% per year over this 40-year period, leading to a cumulative price increase of about 197.21%. Official data +3 in 2013, $+3 in 2013, $+3. This means that prices today are nearly 3 times higher than they were in 1985. So $31,000 back then would have the same purchasing power as about $92,135.40 now. It's important to note that inflation can vary by region. For instance, in Seattle, Washington, the average inflation rate from 1985 to 2025 was approximately 3.09%, making $31,000 in 1985 equivalent to about $104,671.87.
Well, there you go. So that's about what you'd be making. The Baumeister started Thrift Management Inc. in 1988, according to state records. A former Save-A-Lot employee who asked not to be identified worked with Baumeister for 4 years. She said that Baumeister saw their stores, one in Castleton and one on West Washington as upscale thrift stores. The stores even got an award from Indianapolis Monthly magazine, which rated them in 1992 as the best place to buy used jeans. But Baumeister wasn't always operating his store the way most businesses run. He often asked an employee and a male friend of his to join him for a beer on Save-A-Lot property during work hours. He drank Miller beer and bought other brands for his drinking buddies. Baumeister referred to their drinking spot as Waco, referring to the compound in Texas where the Branch Davidians religious sect battled federal agents before it burned in 1993. The employee said she wasn't sure why he called it Waco, but thought it meant it was protected from anyone including the police. The Baumeisters opened their first Save-A-Lot store in Arlington Avenue in late 1980s. In 1982, they opened the West Washington Street store. When Juliana Baumeister opened and began running a new Save-A-Lot store in Castleton in June of 1995, the couple closed the Arlington store. On occasion, Baumeister's sister Barbara Miles and his brother Brad Baumeister helped out at the stores. I think the stores are the least interesting part. A month before Baumeister opened their Castleton store, their company annual report was due at the Indiana Secretary of State office. It never got there and still hasn't. The report due in May 1996 also hasn't been sent. Long disappearances. The Save-A-Lot employee said sometime in the summer of 1993, Baumeister started disappearing during the day for long periods of time. Baumeister often couldn't be reached by his mobile phone when he left the store, the employee said. She added that he often made excuses that the phone battery was low. The employee said she eventually quit because she felt that Baumeister was getting angry over silly things. Hamilton County authorities said Baumeister frequented Indianapolis gay and straight bars, where some of the four men also had been seen. Sergeant Wiseman said the dates of the victims' disappearances coincided with the times Juliana Baumeister and the three children were out of town. God, that sounds just like Rex Heuermann. Isn't that crazy? Listen to that. Hamilton County authorities said Baumeister, I think this guy is very similar to Rex Heuermann. Now that you think about it, right? He has, other than Heuermann wasn't gay, his sex workers, this guy, they were gay, and some were just gay individuals, but he would take them somewhere. And look at the strategy here. It's exactly the same. It said, Hamilton County authorities said Baumeister frequented Indianapolis gay and straight bars where some of the four men also had been seen. Sergeant Wiseman said the dates of the victims' disappearances coincided with the times Juliana Baumeister and the three children were out of town. That's exactly what Heuermann would do. And so he probably took him back to the house there. Huh? What's going on in here, you guys? Have we got trolls showing up in here, or what? In November 1995, Indianapolis police came by to question Baumeister about a missing person. He refused to talk to them. Wow. And Baumeister had concerns beyond the police. His Save-A-Lot store contract with Children's Bureau was rewritten in December 1995. In mid-December 1995, he and Juliana separated, and in January, she filed for divorce. By May 1996, Phelps said the Children's Bureau Board was not happy with the Save-A-Lot stores and terminated the contract. I sometimes thought Herb was overly optimistic with his business. When Baumeister worked at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, he had always dressed in a suit. Pierce learned he wore $300 shoes when he made a comment about their price when she once accidentally stepped on his foot. Hey, these are $300 shoes! At the... what was that thing that popped up on the screen? I heard something. It went... You know, a minute ago, was that like a new member or a subscriber? None of the former friends and coworkers could imagine what precipitated Baumeister's suicide. They are further baffled by his alleged connection to the disappeared man, but no more baffled than Hamilton County investigators, who as recently as Friday could call Baumeister no more than a suspect in the men's disappearance, not in their deaths. Well, I mean, it's kind of obvious when you have 4 missing people and he's the last one seen with all 4 of them. Wait a minute, no, there was a guy shadowing him. So every time he'd pick somebody up, they'd kill the person he was with. Yeah. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for me tonight. Hope you guys found that at least mildly interesting. Just kind of switch topics there. I didn't really have any... I mean, there's a whole bunch of questions more we could ask in the Idaho 4 case. We could, you know... obviously, I could just throw a bunch of questions in during regular shows. Tomorrow I'm going to put out the video of the route home. Koberger's route home. Except we don't know the exact route because there's 16 minutes of missing time. So you just have to kind of wonder what he did during those 16 minutes. So thank you to Timothy Cecil, Richard Watts, Cheryl Moran with a cat eye. Then we have Alley Cake, Angelane 1, Danny Mitchell, Cheryl Moran, Hannah again, and then Hannah Whitaker, then Luke Stedman, then Cheryl Moran with a double cat eye, then CR with gifted 5, then Melanie Tone, and then Scott G, new member, Leon Littlejohn gifted 10, then K-Me, then CR, then Leon Littlejohn gifted 5, and H-Doc, Harry me boy, Alley Cake, M10, Harry me boy, Artwork 2, Ozzy Trisha gifted 5, then Leon Littlejohn gifted 1, then Janelle H, Rainy Joe, Techies Demolitions, Leon Littlejohn gifted 5, so that made 21 that he did. Then I gifted 5, or 10 total, but those are the free ones that are in there. And then now they're not. You get, each channel gets 10 free memberships to give out in $5 increments, or 5 increments, I think. Millennial, then Shay 530, Joseph Brennan, Laney Carter, then Kick Rocks 214 with a cat eye, then M10, Sandy Shirley, M10 again, and then that's where I last gifted the 5. Anyways, thank you guys so much for getting a good start to the month, and I'm going to try to, you know, get things rolling on my end. I got to get some videos going, ones that people watch. I mean, apparently the video, well, since nobody watched it, you guys want me to play the video that I made today? Maybe that'll be my last thing for the night. Nobody really watched it, so you might as well check it out. It's pretty interesting in for the Delphi case. Actually lost subscribers on it. It's crazy. Well, let's see. Maybe not now. What am I at? Yeah, -1. Isn't that great? What a bunch of losers. Alright, here we go. What a bunch of absolute nimrods. What are you talking about, Jessica? Sound like a nut job. Anybody watching that? So here we go, here we go. And we have better versions of that. So, I mean, there's this one. Exhibits and share. It's on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. I got my thumb drive from Allen County Court. It's only got 1,400 views. Things that I wanted for exhibits. What a joke! And the only thing that I got were the flybys and like look at this right here, you guys. Watch this. -1 subscribers, 1,400 views. Absolutely pathetic. Look at down here. It's at the very bottom of any of the video. Like it's just barely tracking below the worst you could possibly do. And in the morning it'll be like 1450. Look at that. There's even these blank spots where nobody watched it for 45 minutes. That's just stupid, you know. I don't know, Jessica, but the fact that you asked it, I think we should mute you. We're just going to keep muting your stupid comments, okay? When you make a comment that's normal, we'll leave it up, all right? That'll be great. Jessica. All right. Anyways. Forget it. I don't need to play it. I'm just going to delete the video. If you guys want to go watch it, go watch it. I'm going to go to bed. So everybody, thank you for being here tonight. If you want to go watch that video, it's on my channel. But I'm going to remove the video in about 30 minutes from now because it sucks. Alright. Alright. Thank you all for being here. Oh wait, I forgot the hold on. I knew I was forgetting something. We have, let's see, Lisa Valenzuela and Leon Littlejohn on the coffees, and then Gina and Mary Lou. What was Mary Lou doing there?
Wasn't me, wasn't me, Gray, wasn't me.
Okay, it wasn't you. What is it, what, Gray? What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't even know what you're saying. What is it, Gray? What is what? What are you talking about? Alright, thank you all, and we'll see you guys later. And as I always say, until next time. Well, before I say that, I don't know what you're referring to. I hate when you say what. I don't even know what you're talking about. When you say, what is it, Gray? What are you talking about? Oh, the video. Oh, the video is I put a video out today, and it just nobody watched it. It showed went over some PDF file information that I got in the Delphi case, you know, different images, what they mean, and then a much better proof that it's, you know, his black Ford Focus. Here, I'll just show you that part. How about that? I get so confused sometimes with some of the comments. I have no idea what you're referring to or anything. It's just, it's a video. Yeah, it's right here. See, this is a video I made today. Nobody watched it. When I say nobody, I mean the general public didn't get to see this. I'm just going to see that one part. Yes, I go over Betsy Blair's Fitbit information. Yeah, there's actually 10 still frames of his Ford Focus. All right, so here we go. Here we go. So this is the vehicle right there. The bottom down here. Let's keep going. So one of their exhibits was this image right here. Because it wasn't moving, Jessica. It's a still frame. And they also, what are you talking about? Photos of the vehicle in the parking lot, etc. So it's pretty That one's a really good one here. Let's zoom out of that a little bit. That doesn't work. I mean, that shows you exactly what the profile looks like. Matches my 3D model perfectly. People don't get notified. And so this one right here is the one that they have in the document, and it looks just like Richard Allen's vehicle. So I rendered this image out, and then I went into Photoshop, and I placed the image on top of the image. Well, why is it hard for you to see the white car? It's just right there. It's really simple. You know, I mean, I guess I have to go back and maybe it's back here. That's one of the, that's, forgot who's one. That's Sarah Carbaugh, her vehicle. Yeah, that's Kelsey's car right there. See that? Can you not see that? It's right here. See? Oh, I see. Hard meaning sad. I see. Yeah. All right, but check this out. So I went and I did. I talked about how I came up with the spot and everything, and figured this image out. So there it is. And then I went into Photoshop and I placed the image on top. Look at that, you guys. Look at that. Come on. From the document. Now this. Look at that right there. What do you think, Zozo? That I am doing right now, because I mean that's like an exact a closer up shot that law enforcement had that's a little clearer than if we zoomed in. And then I rendered it out, and as you look at this right here, the top of the car is lit on the top, and then shiny on the back window. And if I that was after he was caught. Yeah. Look at this though. I mean, that's my 3D. That's an absolute black Ford Focus. Just a perfect match. That's exactly what it is. Look at Focus 2016. I don't know what else I can say. I mean, what else is that car? Let's get to the opacity here. And it was at 127. Watch this though. I do a little thing where I slowly look at this. Turn it on and off. So this is the original image given by law enforcement. It's getting dark, and then I'm slowly putting it on there. Look at that. Boom. I mean, my God, you guys. Can you see any part of that that doesn't look like it's the same type of vehicle? That absolutely is absolutely incredible. See, I even think the same when I'm just recapping it. Anyways, it's just a video that more people should have seen, but it didn't because YouTube sucks. All right. Anyways, thanks everybody, and I appreciate everybody being here, and I appreciate all your generosity. Really made a big difference starting the month off, and at the end of the last month, all last month we did pretty well. So we were able to give away $4,500 last month. I have a 360 degree. Here, I'll show you. Watch. I made a whole other video on it a couple weeks ago, so let me show you. Hold on. As long as you're going to stay and I can show it to you. If you take off, then I'm not going to do it. See this program right here? Watch. This is what I did. I took an image off the map, and it's a huge image. This thing is like massive, like thousands of pixels by thousands of pixels, right? And then I found where the camera was, right on this building here. I made it 75 angle wide. And then here's the telephone pole. I even put a cylinder there. So if I go like this, watch. And then I purchased a 2016 Ford Focus hatchback, which is exactly the car. I purchased it. Then I placed it on the scene in the exact location, really close anyways. Here's the driveway, comes around, it's about right there. Then I also have a daylight system here where I have the exact time of day and location. So I have it right here where it's at 1:27 and 38 seconds on February 13th, 2017 -5 time zone. All right, and I put it right on the road where it's supposed to be, and a camera right here. So when you look through the camera, there's the vehicle. Then I removed the ground floor, and then I rendered it out as a just the car itself, and the rest of it's transparent. And then in Photoshop, I go into Photoshop, and I guess I'd have to open that up, but the Photoshop is what leads to what we were just looking at in the video a minute ago. I don't know where that is, like right here. So after I rendered it out, I placed it in the scene and then lined it up with the car, you know, scaled it to match the size, and there it is. Right there. I mean, I don't know how anything could be clearer than that. It would be awesome if law enforcement would ever do stuff like that, because it really makes a big difference. I mean, when a jury's sitting there and they're looking at something that's so clear, just a perfect match for a black Ford. Look at that. Focus 2016. I don't know what else I can say. All right. Right. So there you go. Awesome. So I guess we stayed on a few seconds later than I was going to. He has been locked up. He's already been convicted of the murders. He's been convicted, yet there's still a community of people. He's innocent, he's innocent. They're just pro-burgers, a different place. Hey, well, thanks. I just like doing it because it's fun. I know that it'll be worth... It's a way to prove something. And so I do it, and then there it is. It's like, that proves that that's the damn car. How many other... There's only... Listen to this. At trial, there was only one black Ford Focus in Delphi, right? So then there's this car that looks exactly like it at 127, right when Richard Allen said he got there. He said he got there at 1:30 and he left at 3:30. So it matches it perfectly. But when I was on Court TV the other day going over this overlay thing, Barbara McDonald was like, well, there's a lot of cars that look like that out there, you see, because I think it's Ron Logan, you know that, Ron Logan's the killer, you know, because I've always thought it and I can't change my mind. You know, he was on drugs, you know, when he confessed, it was just so, it's so mind-numbingly crazy. I don't know what else to say. I don't know, man. I think that's a question. I think it's similar to the Dan Doolin crap. How come they didn't just determine what that vehicle was using FBI agents to determine all the vehicles that were on that surveillance, and then look up each one of those vehicles, see who owns them, and lo and behold, you'd have one person that owned the black Ford Focus, a person that you might find in your systems as being interviewed by, I don't know. It's just, that is odd. That is strange that they didn't look that up. It's crazy. I don't know why they didn't do it. Right. Okay. That's going to do it, you guys. Thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. Yep, they should have released the picture to the public.
I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while.
And then his wife would have said, hey, that looks like our car.
I have not seen one person that is a...
And she might have came
crime
forward.
dissector, plug rejector, I'm a certified human lie detector.
You know, she might have... His wife may have came forward in that 2019 press conference when he said, you know, we'd like to know who the owner of the vehicle parked at the abandoned CPS building was. And it could be this vehicle right here.
Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temple fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you later.
We are all Richard Allen!
Okay, bye!